Hello. Okay, so I'm trying this again. This studio, when the fan is off, is loud. The walls are incredibly soundproof. So there's people next door. There's a parking lot right out in front of the studio, which is like directly behind the camera. And so I decided to leave the fan running, just like we do during our classes. So there's that layer of white noise. That being said, I don't exactly know right now how that's going to affect the sound of this video. So if it's terribly annoying, I apologize in advance, and I will learn, and then I will make accommodations for the next video. But for right now, I'm just going to imagine that it's going to be good and help block out some of the other distracting noises around us that the microphone will pick up, and I'm just going to go with it. So let's take a minute to get ready to practice yoga. So I have a chair just off to the side. I don't remember if it's in frame or not right now. I have underneath my bum a little square pillow, one of our little square bolsters, which I imagine would be the closest thing we have in the studio space to like a throw pillow, and I have a blanket underneath me. In all of these videos, I'm only going to be using props that I think that we would have at our house, because I don't want to incorporate a bunch of stuff that people may not have at their disposal, because these videos are going up because we're in quarantine and we're at home, so we're probably not rushing in to buy yoga props right now either. So if you are grabbing props for practice with us, any throw pillow, the firmer the better. Any blanket, same thing, the firmer the better. Only because when we do things like roll up our blanket and stuff like that, it usually is nicer to have that firmness under you versus like a comforter. So any kind of throw blanket would be preferable. And then chair, I have just folding chairs in the studio. The chair could be any chair, preferably with no arms, but any sort of like dining room chair that has just the back and seat, or even like a stool or anything like that would be awesome too. So we'll incorporate all of these things as needed. And if you do have a bunch of yoga props at your house, have fun. You can use them whatever way you'd like to. Let's just take a moment to settle in. To settle into the space that we're in. Especially when we're practicing in a place like our house where it may or may not be quiet. We'll take a moment to just let our awareness kind of move around the different sounds that are in the space around us, and not label them or focus intently on them, but just become aware of their presence and know that as we practice today, we don't have to come back to paying any attention to these sounds. You can notice the temperature of the room that we're sitting in. The smell of the room we're sitting in. Take a moment to check in with how your body feels before we start to move. So maybe your back is nice and long. Notice how your legs feel in the position that you chose to sit in. How your arms feel. And then notice if there's any muscles in your body that you're engaging more than you need to, maybe out of habit. Sometimes, especially when we're feeling stressed or anxious, we tighten muscles. Different people tighten different muscles. If you feel like you're tightening any muscle groups more than you need to be right here, see if you can soften a little bit. We're sitting up, so we can't turn all of our muscles off. We have muscles that have to work, but see if we can just soften a little bit. And take a moment to check in with your breathing. How does it feel to breathe into your body right now? Maybe we start to slow down our inhales and exhales just a little bit. Feel the way that our torso expands and contracts. All the muscles of our shoulders, neck, jaw, face relax. Maybe move a little bit deeper into the self and notice how we're feeling energetically today. Bursting with energy, dragging your body. Just acknowledging what energetic place we're in. Because it might affect our practice a little bit. What is our mental self right now, our mental body? Are we feeling like our mind is racing? Feeling like our mind is able to focus and concentrate well? Not judging at all, but noticing. And as we move into our practice, if you find that our mind is wandering to other things, we can bring it back to the sensation of being in our body, or bring it back to focus on our breathing. And every time we get distracted, we just come back to being in our body, to embodying our breath. Maybe we take a moment here to set an intention for our practice. Only if you feel called to do that. Make just a short phrase in your mind, stating to yourself why it is you came to your yoga practice today. When you're ready, slowly tuck our chin in towards our chest. Let our gaze open to the floor and center face. Okay, so we're going to move through a short practice right now for our back. So there will be a little bit of stretching, a little bit of strengthening. We'll just I'll try to focus all of our awareness on how our back is feeling. Anytime that we practice yoga together, it is always offered in our studio that you just move in a way that feels good for your body. And even more so when I'm practicing with you via me being in front of a camera and you being watching on a screen from a different location. I can't even see how you're moving. I can't necessarily offer all of the right suggestions and offerings, but please always move your body in a way that feels comfortable for you to do. Comfortable meaning not everything that we do in a yoga practice or every way that we move our body feels wonderful. Sometimes things feel hard. Sometimes they feel not necessarily like relaxing and pleasurable. That's fine, but we want to feel safe when we move in our bodies. So if anything, at any point in time in this practice ever hurts, if we just stop. If you can find an alternative way to move your body, you are welcome to explore. And if you can't find an alternative way to move your body, please feel free to send me a message and I'll see if I can help you. That being said, I'm going to start to move. I'm going to come off of the cushion that I'm sitting on, all the way down to the ground. I'm going to start with my knees bent here. And we could hold on to the knees here. You could reach down and hold on to the toes or lower on our shins, whatever you want to hold on to. But we're going to start to little by little walk our feet away from us. And as I walk my feet away, I'm going to notice what I'm feeling in my back. Once I get to a place where I'm getting a good stretch in my back, I'm going to pause. So the intention here is not to have a huge stretch in our hamstring, it's to feel our back. And I'm going to keep my belly as close to my thighs as I can right here. And then as I breathe, because my belly is restricted, I'm going to think about letting my rib cage move side to side, or my back move away from my legs when I breathe. Take one more breath here. And then if it's comfortable for you, we might take our legs a little bit straighter. And we could still be holding on to the knees, holding on around the ankles, we could be holding on the feet. Big breaths in and out. And slowly come all the way up. We're going to take a real gentle twist. So I'm going to take my hands outside of my other leg, hands in behind. I'm just going to turn nice and slow. As soon as I start to feel a little bit of a sensation of stretch in my back, I start to twist my spine, I'm going to stop. Just a real gentle feeling. Slowly coming back to center. We'll have other options during practice to come into a deeper feeling twist, if that feels good for your body. Super gentle twist the other way. All the way back to center here. I'm going to bring one leg in, one knee fall out. I like this stretch because I feel it a lot in just one side of my back at a time. I feel it in the other side, but I feel the sensation most strongly in one side, whatever side that I have my bent knee. So I'll take a big breath in here. As I breathe out, my hands could be on the floor, walking forward. My hands could be on my leg, sliding forward. If it feels comfortable, you can reach down and pull my foot. And slowly come all the way back up. And we'll just switch legs. I should have mentioned on the first side. This doesn't feel wonderful to have your knee up to the side like this. We can use a pillow. It can tuck right up and close, which will give us less sensation in that. The farther the pillow is, the deeper that sensation might get. And then I'm going to fold over my second side. So again, I can walk my hands away, or I can hold my leg, or I can hold my foot. And so come all the way back up here. And move this out of the way. I'm gonna make my way down to my belly. I'm gonna move the blanket out of the way. I don't like the feeling of it underneath on my belly. You could have a blanket underneath you for extra cushion if you wanted to. And as I come down to my belly, I'm gonna have my hands maybe be just underneath my shoulders. I'm gonna let my forehead rest on the floor. Big breath in. As I breathe out, I'm gonna see if I can just squeeze the muscles of my back to lift my shoulders away from the floor. And then exhale and come back down. Inhale. Squeeze and lift. Exhale. Lower back down. We'll do this a couple more times. And we can stay right here. Or we might make this a little bit more challenging. So we might bring our hands a little bit farther back. So we're less likely to push our hands into the ground to help us lift our shoulders away from the floor. Another option, we can take that pillow that we had and we can set it up underneath our hips. And then from here, I could use even farther away from the ground as I lift. My hands are on the ground here, but I don't have to use them. So as I squeeze and lift, I might lift my hands away from the floor. Trying to find a great spot for that. So that I come up, reach my arms overhead, back down, and down. Might do that 2 more times. Press myself up to hands and knees and back to child's pose. Feel free to take a couple of breaths here. I'm going to make my way either to puppy dog or to downward facing dog. So if we're doing puppy dog, hips take over top of our knees, hands walk away, ears come somewhere in between our biceps. We're thinking about keeping our spine nice and long here. If we want to come into downward facing dog, tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and back. We're going to make our way up to standing. So if we were in puppy dog, we could start to walk our hands in. We could lift our knees, walk our feet forward. If there's another way that you'd like to move to come up to stand, move however you want to. Once I'm standing, I'm going to bring my feet about hip distance apart. I'm going to come back to that same stretch that I did. So when I was lying on my belly, that reach up was harder in my body than the pull down. But we're going to try to change that when we come to the standing movement. So we're going to make the movement harder for ourselves by contracting our opposite muscle groups. So it's almost like, sometimes when we're in class, I might say, imagine like you're moving your arms through molasses. It's like we're trying to make the movement harder. So starting, I might start just like this, just standing. Elbows come out, bent to my sides, depending on what your shoulder's like. My elbows could be lower, my elbows could be higher, in line, kind of play around with what feels good for your shoulders. And then when I reach up, I'm going to make that movement feel as easy as I can. It's just like a big extension, a big stretch. When I breathe out, I'm going to squeeze and pull together. So when I'm doing this, from the back, I'm thinking about moving my shoulder blades apart, and then when I come down, squeezing and pulling them towards each other. So we'll do that a couple more times, and then we're going to have the option of changing the position of our body in space. So the next time that we come back to having elbows bent, we could stay just like this, or we could bend our knees. So we're coming back towards like chair pose. Same movement, reaching, pulling down. That movement harder for ourselves. Option to stay here, or option to straighten the knees a little bit, fold forward at the waist. Arms are here, slowly stretching out, squeezing and pulling back. Next time that we bend our elbows, we're going to come all the way down to the floor. So if we're standing in chair or that half bend, all the way down to the floor. Hands and knees. If it doesn't feel comfortable to be on your knees for very long, we can take a blanket under the knees here. We're going to come into that same movement of creating space between our shoulder blades and then bringing them as close together as we can. So when I do this movement, I want to make sure that I'm not like bending my elbows. It's not a push up with my arms moving. The only movement is in like my shoulders and shoulder blades. So when I'm here, I'm gonna push my hands into the ground, reach my upper back up towards the ceiling, and then I'm going to move my shoulder blades as close towards each other as I can. The front of my chest is coming as close to the floor as I can get it without bending my elbows. I'm going to push my hands into the floor, move my shoulders away from each other, move my chest towards the floor. If you're not feeling a lot here and you want to feel a little bit more, if you want that to be a little more challenging, we might bring ourselves more into like a modified plank pose. So we're carrying a little bit more weight in the movement. Another option would be to lift the knees so that we're doing it in plank pose. We'll do it a couple more times, and then we'll pause. We can take a moment, send our hips back towards our heels. Notice what we're feeling in our upper back. One last little bit of work before we take a couple of movements to stretch. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move opposite arm and leg at the same time. So it can be a tabletop here. You can also do the same thing from plank, either like a modified plank where I'm like this, or plank where I'm here. So when we move, one arm is going to go out, opposite leg. Then out, I'm going to bend my elbow, bend my knee, out to the sides, back, and then down. Same thing other side. Arm and leg extend out long, bend, out, back, and then down. We'll do this a couple of times. Do maybe one more movement each side. Pause. Send the hips back towards the heels. Take a couple of breaths. We're going to do a little stretch muscles in between our shoulder blades here. So we might take our blanket and roll it up. And the blanket can kind of get tucked wherever it feels comfortable for you. So it could be like lower rib cage, it could be the front of the chest. You don't have to use it either. If you don't use it, there's an option to get a deeper sensation of stretch here. But feel free to play around with it, see where it's comfortable. But we're going to come back down to our belly, the blanket rests where it feels good to. And then we're going to take our arms out in front of us. Remove the hands in opposite directions. So one hand, move one way, one hand, move the other way. And from here, I'm just going to pause and breathe. A few cycles of breath. If it feels comfortable, you could even let your head kind of rest in between your arms and the top of the little X that you made with your upper arm bones. Doesn't feel comfortable, you could grab a pillow, the pillow that you have, maybe let your forehead rest here. You can shake things around so that they feel comfortable. Slowly bring the arms back to where we started. Switch so that the arm that was farther away from us is now the closest. And we'll walk our hands away from each other. Hands reach forward here. Pause for just a moment. And then slowly all the way up. We're gonna make our way down to the upper back. So when you come down to your back, does it feel nice to have that when I straight leg, if I have more of a curve in my low back here, if that doesn't feel nice, I can bend my knees to flatten that out a little bit. I can pick up my hips and change the curve of my low back, tilting my pelvis forwards or backwards. As I come here, we're going to do just a couple more stretches that will get a little bit of our shoulders, but kind of more stretching in the back and in between the shoulder blades. I'm going to reach my hands up towards the ceiling, bend my elbows, holding onto opposite sides. And then I'm just going to go side to side with my arms. So one elbow will move towards the ground at a time. And then how close to the ground it comes just depends on how much your arm likes this movement. So I'm going to come over one way, back up to center, over the other way. We'll do a couple more times each side. Next time we come back up over our chest with pause, switch the cross of our arms side to side. A couple more times. To center, we can pause. We can make just a couple of circles, one direction or the other. So I'm going to let my arms come down towards my belly, go around one way, up overhead, over the other way, back up towards my belly. Switch, go around the other direction. Two more times each direction here. I'm switching directions each time, but you don't have to. You could go a couple circles one way and a couple circles the other way. This is my last circle each way, each direction. And a pause. Arms go down to the ground. I'm going to make my way back up to seated so that I can come into the next position that I'm going to come into. So you could bring yourself, or you could lift yourself up to come back to seated. You could roll to your side and come back up to seated. You can choose which one feels the best for your body. We're going to take that blanket that we may have rolled up, and if we didn't take it now, roll it up so it's nice and long. Comes in just behind us, and pull that blanket in towards my tailbone so that they're touching. And then I'm going to slowly lower myself down onto it. If this doesn't feel good in your body, you don't have to do it. Again, here I have the option of having my legs straight. I could have my knees bent. I could have my knees fall apart from each other. I could have my feet move apart and my knees fall inwards. And then I'm going to take my arms out to the sides, with whichever leg position I decided felt the nicest in my body right I'm just gonna pause and breathe. Take a couple more breaths here. If this feels really nice for you, you could stay like this for your rest pose, for your shavasana. If it feels like it would be nicer to take that blanket out from under you and find a more comfortable position to sit in, then of course you can move your body, and then take a minute to just find the most comfortable position for you to rest in, so that your focus isn't on your physical body, so that everything can relax, soften, melt away. The awareness might be on breathing for the first couple minutes of our rest pose, and then if it's possible, maybe our awareness just kind of dissipates, so that we're almost in that feeling or that state that we might be in right before we fall asleep. I'm gonna stop the video here in a moment. You can rest yourself in Shavasana for as long as you like to. Because I tend to have an active mind, and for my own personal experience, if I don't set a timer for myself, it's something that I don't want to say worry about, because it's not worry, but I'm aware of the thoughts of like, how long have I been here? Do I need to be getting up? Do I need to be getting moving? What if I fall asleep? So if you have a timer on a phone, a timer on a stove or a microwave, or wherever you have a timer, set a timer for as long as you'd like to rest in rest pose, and allow yourself to relax. Thank you so much for practicing with me today.